biggest stories in basketball outside the NBA Finals has been the Lance Stephenson versus Michael Beasley one-on-one matchup, where the winner took home $100,000, put on by the next chapter. Today we have the co-owner of the next chapter and one of the biggest basketball YouTubers in the business, Devonte Friga. Welcome to the show, bro.
Sure. Nah, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me on here. This is exciting.
No doubt. So obviously recently the one-on-one Beasley and Lance game was a success, but what I found super interesting was the way you guys were able to build the lead up to it. Obviously the game did what it was supposed to do, but I thought the lead up was very creative, especially knowing both those guys and playing with both those guys and knowing what kind of basketball minds they have and what kind of shit talkers they were. Where did the whole strategy of obviously the lead up to the game come from?
Ultimately, you see, like with UFC and with boxing and everything, you have storylines, and they all make sense. See, with Beasley and Lance, outside of just their former pros, and we know who they are, we don't really have that much of a storyline outside of you just want to see this matchup. So the next chapter originated on YouTube. We've always been a YouTube channel. We're a YouTube platform, and we don't want to take away what we started in doing a game like this. So we had the idea of building a natural storyline by putting them head to head against each other as coaches with some of the guys that were brought up in the next chapter scene. So the idea was doing a 20 plus episode series on our YouTube channel that played out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday with games of them coaching players on the next chapter, promoting the main marquee matchup. There are five undercards underneath of the Michael Beasley Lance Stephenson game, and people that have played in the season had a chance to be voted in as undercards to the matchup. So everything that was aligned through the promotion was all hand in hand. And the idea of just having them in front of each other, yelling at each other, you know what I mean, competing, whether they were on the court or not, they're competing as coaches. So the idea of doing that promo just helped build a storyline. You see them yelling at each other in each other's faces for a 3 month period. And then obviously the promo when we were there the week of with the face offs, the press conferences, going to the studio sessions and just trying to do the highest quality that we can in promoting and telling the story and also creating one too. So that's kind of a little bit of the premise of the idea there.
On the logistics side, like so they were coaching leading up to the actual event. How did you get them to buy into that side? Because normally some of us are a little hard-headed and kind of difficult to work with at times. So how did you get both those guys to buy into the whole entire process?
I think we had a really successful proof of concept about a year and a half ago. We had Michael Beasley versus Mario Chalmers as coaches in another season that we did with 20 plus episodes, etc. And it went really well. Obviously, we didn't have Beasley and Chalmers face off afterwards, but we had a very successful season with that. And I think that we were able to really just show what we wanted to do. Beasley already knew what we were trying to do. And Lance, Lance, like he's kind of just like, I'm going to go with it. And he just really liked the idea. So it wasn't as hard as you think, actually.
So what are some of the things that stood out about it? Obviously, you guys are right in the midst of the NBA playoffs slash finals. But what was viewership like? What were some of the, some of the feedback you got from what you guys created?
Ultimately, we weren't necessarily trying to do it. So people were like, yeah, we like this way better. But we wanted people to compare their viewing experience because the idea of growing this UFC of 1v1 basketball it's not easy, but we need basketball fans. So around this NBA finals time was perfect for us to do it because in that viewing experience trial period is, some people may not be used to watching one-on-one basketball or whatever the case may be. So the feedback was really good. This was our second pay-per-view. We've been doing 1v1s and we've been doing these types of live events for years now. But the pay-per-view side, where we're really trying to grow this, I would consider it a success. There's obviously like little finite details about the actual stream itself that I would change, but obviously like going forward, there's going to be something new that we want to do better every single time. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people. I mean, we had over a million unique viewers to the website, and there wasn't a million live stream viewers, but I think that being able to gather over a million people to come to the website to pique interest in the idea, super crucial for us. Taking those numbers to wherever we want to go next, or pushing this to whoever else wants to be a part of something like this. We can obviously gather those numbers, but yeah, overall, really big success.
Overall, I mean, obviously the goal is to grow this as a business, which you're definitely doing. Can you share what type of like ballpark money did you guys make off this first event? Did you guys come up in the green? Were you in the red? Did you break even? How did it work?
No, we didn't make any money actually, but
Okay,
I think honestly, the people that were part of it got paid, and that was a really big part of it. We want to present something that is, like you look at the NBA contracts, right? And I was never in the league, so I don't know how the payment goes for that. But if you break down somebody's contract and the 82 games that they're playing, and plus the possible playoff games and whatnot, it's a big number, right? But for us, where we're trying to go is to be able to offer the games that you can make 3 to 500K in a night for a 30-minute game. And I feel like we were able to do that on the Beasley and Lance side. But obviously, for the business, like we're willing to take the hit to grow something. Now, we didn't lose a ton of money, but for us to break even and come out of an event like that, basically not spending a ton of money. If we break even, you know what I mean? We basically put the event on for free. We're able to branch off, do all of these types of things. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it being the second event and us not taking a massive loss,
it's a
I
great
still
sign.
do think we win. I think we profited in terms of where we're growing as a company.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that you guys got 1 million eyeballs to the site, I mean, that's the goal. I mean, did you think in the midst of literally the NBA finals that you guys would make so much noise?
Honestly, yeah. Like I think everything that we did was pretty strategic. Once we were able to lock in Beasley and Lance and we wanted to do the season, we knew exactly how we were going to play it out. We had the idea written up for a while. Um, like I said, it was really key for us to try and get basketball fans, not just Next Chapter fans, not just NBA fans, but basketball fans in general, to compare their viewing experience to the NBA Finals in this pay-per-view one-on-one game with former NBA players. Um, but yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, overall, overall, definitely a success.
So what's next? I mean, obviously, I think Beasley's one of the coldest one-on-one players we've seen. I know ISO Joe. I played against him. I know his name's been thrown out. One of the best one-on-one players in the history of the NBA. Carmelo Anthony's name has been thrown out. So obviously, you're starting to ring bells, and people are putting out hypotheticals. But what is next for the next chapter?
We do a lot of different things. Like I mentioned earlier, we're primarily like we started as a YouTube channel. We're trying to continue to not just grow the YouTube channel. We'll never get rid of our free content. It's what brings on the fans, but we want to continue to grow something outside of YouTube. In terms of the NBA marquee matchup, we don't really know what's next. I know there's been a lot of names that are thrown in there, but ultimately we have to get people to agree to stuff before there's more conversations outside of the actual game, before we announce stuff, before we get contracts going and whatnot. Um, we have like a lot of city events where we'll take like guys that represent the next chapter that came up on the next chapter, that are signed to the next chapter, that we'll go to a city. Like next, we're going to New Orleans in a couple days here. We'll take some of our best guys. We'll match up. We'll make like a card out there against some of the best hoopers in New Orleans. And the idea of that is to go out to a city, um, you know, go out there. People that watch us that live out there can meet the guys that hoop on next chapter, see how it really goes down, watch all the games in person, enjoy the live experience, because all of those games will be turned into YouTube videos. And then also it's to hopefully find more talent. Ideally, we continue to do these outside of the pay per view. We do these live city events or these showcases or tryouts and whatnot, and to find more talent. There's so much untapped basketball
Yes.
talent out there
Hmm.
that maybe didn't make it to the NBA or maybe didn't go professional overseas. Some things happen. Some people have kids and they take on that dynamic of life, and some things just don't work out. But there's still so many basketball players out there that can compete at a high level, and I feel like now it's our job to find them. So in us kind of traveling around, that's really what's next, is finding more talent and growing the free side, because as you continue to join the next chapter and be put onto the platform, it'll kind of you'll start to build your own momentum. You win one game, you have a viral play, this and that. I mean, the next chapter is a platform that is a place for people to come hoop, be seen, grow your platform, grow your business, and become a star overnight. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but like there's people that a couple hundred followers, and then you come perform on the next chapter, you do really well, the fan base loves you, you play again, and then now you have maybe 25,000 people that are following you in a week's span. And it's really like, it seems unreal, but now that this social media wave is just so big, anything's really possible here. So in terms of what's next for the next chapter, now that's just like going around finding talent, continuing to grow our name. In terms of the next pay per view, though, that I'm not sure when that will be. I know we'll have another one this year. I know obviously we want to find Beasley another matchup that makes sense. Joe Johnson's name, like you said, has been thrown out there. Um, he said some stuff on the nightcap about the offer. You know, actually Joe was the original person that we talked to before Lance. It was
Oh,
supposed to
interesting.
be Lance. It was supposed to be Joe Johnson versus Michael Beasley. And we talked about it for a while. We went to a restaurant. We had a very respectful, honest conversation, very open conversation about where we are, how we're growing this, what we're doing. And to be honest, I thought everything went well. I think based off what Joe said on the nightcap, he seemed like maybe a little disrespected by the offer and everything, which honestly I completely understand. We never were trying to diminish anybody's career or disrespect anybody, because the last we heard, the offer was great and whatnot. So at the end of the day, we got to go back to the drawing board and figure it out.
I wouldn't take that too. I mean, you guys are a startup, you know what I mean? So you guys can offer what you can offer right now. But I think obviously the proof of the concept has worked, and at the end of the day, I know Joe's a competitor, and I know all those guys are in the big three right now. And I even I think the drama between Lance and Bees kind of pumped up the big three to start their season off because they were teammates, and you heard that I don't know how true it was, but you heard Beasley didn't want to play with him. So again, all that drama is good drama, but I think you guys are definitely on the right path. Are you old enough to remember when and One kind of went on these tours and they would find talent in these cities? Because they could kind of, a similar, obviously that was a team game, but this is, you guys are looking for individual talent, but that was huge late 90s, early 2000s. Just the internet hadn't caught up to that. Have you guys found a way to implement brands within what you're doing right now to get some brand partnerships?
Yeah, it is kind of like modern day and one in a way. We're working on some things to scale to the arena size and the
Mm-hmm.
apparel size and everything. We work closely with Prize Picks. Like Prize Picks works with us on a lot. Beasley and Lance, along with the undercards, all of the matchups were just in Prize Picks. People were allowed to make lineups on the game and everything. So that was really cool to see the platform inside of another platform like that with millions of people that have the app downloaded. So that was really cool. We are working closely with some brands, but I think that we have to continue to prove that this is um, a legitimate place to host a real one-on-one basketball game. Like you said, we're only our second pay-per-view in. Obviously, we're years in with the YouTube side and everything, but in order to continue to like legitimize this brand, and get other companies involved, I think that we have to continue to show successful streams, which just like anything, like you do it enough times and you produce it at a high quality, then I think that it'll make sense for more people to come along. We work closely with some people, but at the end of the day, it's not like we have 500, companies knocking at our door.
Not yet. To me, how you legitimize it is continue to bring the former NBA players you've been able to get your hands on. I mean, you guys got Dwight Howard out to a game. You guys had Ty Lawson, Brandon Jennings, Boogie, Mario, you name it. You're starting to get these guys out there. And to me, when you get those type of people to stamp your product is where the legitimacy comes from. Out of the former players you've seen play, former NBA guys, who have you been the most impressed with?
On my personal channel, I've hooped with quite a few the last 3 months, I would say. I think like Lou Williams made it look the easiest. Like he was really just
Right.
like he was moving so slow, and like
Yeah.
he was really at his own pace. And at the park, you know, everybody wants to be all handsy and
Hmm.
play super physical, and he was just moving so slow, and I was just so impressed by it. Um, Boogie just like it almost feels like he shouldn't shoot at such a high efficiency, like you know what I mean. Um, he played really well. I played in something called the Creator League. You may have seen it. They had another one actually last year, the year before this one, and Boogie played in that one, and he was unreal in that. Ty Lawson dropped like 45 points when I brought him out to Ohio to play in a men's league. So, I don't know if you've been seeing his Instagram stories. Like he's in really good shape right now. So I
Yep.
knew him coming out, he was going to be able
Hmm.
to last. We made sure we had no subs. We actually tried to like make it a challenge inside of the YouTube video itself.
Hmm.
And you know, Joe, like same thing with Joe Johnson, brought him out to Atlanta. His pacing was unreal. Like he just you can't speed these guys up, you know.
No. Mm-mm. You got a lot of game too. Let me hear a little bit about your background. When I saw, I was like, oh, he could play too. So where did your game come from?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I fell in love with basketball at a young age. I just was never really that good at it. So I was one of those guys that was not really like born with this unnatural or crazy talent, crazy height or anything like that. I was really just like a gym rat kind of kid. And that's where I really like built a lot of my skill, and shooting was always been like a big part of my game. Um, I played Division III basketball. I played Division III college basketball in Ohio. There's a big football school by the name of University of Mount Union. They've won over 12 national championships for football. But I went there for basketball. It was right in my backyard, about 45 minutes from where I grew up. I went there, played all 4 years there. We were really good, won a couple championships, and just developed my game there. After college, though, I really feel like that's when I started to gain more confidence. And you know, in basketball, that confidence and the skill go so hand in hand. It's unreal. Like especially when you get in that flow state, you hit two or three. You know what I mean? And out
Hmm.
at the parks,
Yep.
when my college career ended, um, so I started my personal YouTube channel in college, and I grew it from zero to 100K with some of my buddies in school. 2020 COVID year was my senior year, and our career abruptly ended. I documented like my whole life in school. After that, I really didn't know what I was going to do, so I kind of just, we picked up the camera, started making some random YouTube content, and my whole persona, my whole online in college was just all derived around Division III, this Division III, that. When I graduated, I really didn't have this title to my name. I didn't know where my niche was anymore. So we stuck around with like the former D3 thing, and we did this former D3 hooper versus regular park hoopers. And I was mic'd up, and it was a really good idea because the whole like the idea of Division III sports is kind of like looked down upon. So it's like the idea of seeing the D3 hooper versus like people that go play pickup, regular people that just play pickup, however you want to call it. The video did really well, and that's kind of when the whole park basketball scene started to do really well for me. So I started to just travel around the country and just play at different parks. And I would post on my Instagram story, hey, I'm going to this park at this time on this day. And we started to bring bigger and bigger crowds out. And that's when like I really started to gain my confidence. And that's kind of how I developed my skill as like a street ball hooper mixed with this organized professional, whatever you want to call it.
I think people are delusional at times because they think whether it be D3 Hooper, D3 Hooper, D1 Hooper, last guy on the bench, like, oh, he's weak. I can, like, no, there's a reason why I got an opportunity to get my school paid for. There's a reason why I make money even though I sit on the bench in this league. And I think people think because, oh, you're not a big star, you're not doing, like, you can't play, which is crazy. So I love the fact that, like, your ability to kind of, okay, you think D3, you think it's sweet. Come get some of this. Man, before we get you out of here, tough question. To the cities you've been in, what city impressed you the most with their street ballers?
It's crazy you said tough question before asking this, because this is the question I probably get the most, and I never have an accurate answer. Um, like
Give
I
me two or
travel
give me
around
two
to
give me two or three cities then that you were just like, okay, they came with it today.
Richmond, Virginia,
Okay.
for sure. I know that's like super random. And then I was in Charlotte. I played at a park in Charlotte And it was like when Rob Dillingham and them were in school and everything, and he popped out to the park, and there were a bunch of like top
Dope.
recruits out there, just a bunch of like really tough hoopers that came out that day, and they ran the park, man. It was crazy.
Dope.
So I mean, if I really had to give you an answer, it'd probably be Charlotte, yeah, or Richmond, Virginia. They gave us some work.
Give me your five dream retired NBA players to get on to the next chapter. Here's your chance,
Oh
man.
man.
They're all gonna see this shit. So here's your chance. Who you want?
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we have to make the Joe Johnson Michael Beasley matchup happen. So those are two for sure. Beasley's always
Hmm.
been a dream one because, I'll tell you why Beasley's always been a dream. Everybody that's ever played, ever seen him, ever said anything about him has always said that
Cold. Cold.
he exactly he's cold and
Hmm.
for everybody to talk about his 1v1 game specifically, it made him a myth. It made him a myth of like, man, like, is he really as good as everybody says he is? And so I'm really happy we got to see bits and parts of what he's capable of, but I feel like there's
Hmm.
so much more that we're going to see as he continues to grow in this one-on-one space. So yeah, for sure, Joe Johnson, for sure, Michael Beasley. I'd like to see Kyrie get in the space. I think
Ooh.
I think we'll see Kyrie soon, just because I know he commentated the game against them, and he talked about really wanting to get involved. He streams a lot. He talked about trying to make his next chapter debut next year.
That's dope.
Obviously, like there's a bunch of legalities with the league, but he said he would play for free, which is really cool. Like
Hmm.
I know he talked about 1v1's a completely different mastery of the game that is just like it's not as respected as much as 5v5, which I completely understand. 5v5 is the pinnacle. It's real basketball. But at the end of the day, one on one is just, it's super entertaining. It's mono e mono. There's nobody else to blame. It's just you and that other person. And I know obviously like there's this stigma around like bag this and bag work that. But at the end of the day, like it's really cool to see if you've mastered a certain part of your game. It's really cool to see you display it against another person that is capable of
Hmm.
mastering or showing what
Hmm.
they're mastering. But
Not to put any pressure on you, but if you build this concept out how I think you will and how you think you will, your concept can possibly be adopted by the NBA All-Star game because they're trying to figure out how do we make the All-Star weekend better. And if your concept can show like, yo, these dudes really want to do this, this is something that fans really want to see, you never know. You might be partnering with the NBA one day on All-Star weekend, next chapter times the NBA for one-on-one challenge.
yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure. Like the NBA is super closed off to other leagues and other companies and whatnot. So I
I'm just
think it
throwing
would
it out
take.
there. I think you could proof the concept though. Like I think you've
Yeah, yeah,
invented something. Yeah, not you invented. I know other guys have tried to do it, but your
for
ability to
sure.
get the big names has definitely like, okay, well, it's working there. Maybe and then we know if they start going on one-on-one, it was because of the next chapter because no one else is doing
I
it
th-
like you.
I think we get people to commit to doing some of this stuff because like we keep mentioning proof of concept, but also like we're a very trustworthy place to make sure that it's done in a very legit way. You can't have people that have done what they've done respectfully in the basketball world come onto your platform and it's just a shit show. Like it's not something that we want to do. We take a lot of pride in our production quality. We take a lot of pride in how we handle things behind the scenes, our conversations, the maturity, the legitimacy. So I think that's why people are stepping up to the plate with confidence that it's going to be done the right way. But fuck, man, I owe you two more people, and I can't think of anybody. I
It's
would
all
like to
good.
see John Wall at this moment. I'd like to see John Wall.
Mhm.
I've seen him in the gym here and there. That'd be really fun to see that. And if Kyrie does step onto the plate, said he wants to play his next chapter debut at Mandalay Bay, I want to see it be done against Damian Lillard.
Ooh,
That'd be fun.
Dame Lillard.
Kyrie
Two
versus
guys
Dame.
two guys coming off an injury. We'll see. Well, man, congratulations on what you built and what you continue to grow. We're here for a resource, man. So make sure you come back and update us on what you got going on, man. And the best of luck moving forward, bro.
Yeah, please do. Next time, whenever we find out our next matchup here soon in the next couple weeks, maybe we can get on and talk about it, talk about who we think's going to win and why.
Sounds good, bro. We'll be well, man. Take care.